And then you have to really look and say, is this something I want to be a part of? And the same people you were trying to impress are like sort of doing the opposite, and then you kind of have to say, oh, well, I still what can I learn from them? Like, it's like they taught you, they were teaching you all along.
All along, yeah. How nice. Wow, thank you for the honesty. Hello. Hey, congratulations on the winning ticket.
Thank you. Oh, nice.
This is not what I wrote on my card. I just love what Anahita is talking about. It's just great, and no, it's true. And I don't have exactly the same thing, but maybe somewhere in the middle ground. Like, I have a practice where when there are things I really don't like, or things that are appearing in my life that feel kind of stuck, like you're working on, you're planting seeds, you're doing your coffee meditation, blah, 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 but it's not really getting better. And then like every, once or twice a month, I'll have like I'm ready to see what I did in my life that caused this. I'll ask my mind to pull out that memory that's just buried with stuff that I've never thought about, for sometimes more than 10 years. And then, and then it comes up, like within a few days or a week it comes up, and it's really bad. It's like, oh wow, I can't believe I did that really shitty thing, or I treated someone that way, or I talked to someone that way in this horrible, like, low, just really low way of being. And then after I'll go through one of those and you purify it and then kind of be okay for a while, but then, and then it's like, okay, time to deal with the next thing, and just that constant, it's shitty. So like we really have to look at ourselves, like how I live. I'm not claiming to be any perfect angel now, but I'm definitely a lot better off in terms of how I treat people. And the first 20 years of my life, it's like, that was me.
Yeah.
Like I did that. And those things are still appearing to me, and I ask for them, to appear.
So the one thing I've heard from all of you that I don't hear often, and my job out there for decades was always to go and talk with executives and corporate people and team meetings and whatever, and try and see what these humans that are working in office buildings mostly, what they need to do day to day to get along with each other and do their jobs, right? And so I try and have this kind of workshop discussion, and the tone is very different. What I'm hearing here that I don't hear in other circles is a deep level of self-awareness, about the way my mind is operating, my motivation, my memories, my intent, etc., etc., etc. And if you get to practice these ideas taught by the Buddha, then this intention and self-awareness creates a charge in every activity you do that produces a faster result in the projector of our mind. Okay, therefore the realities pop up.
So while you were saying that, I just had a stream of thinking of, if only my colleague was more like that.
Thank you for that.
I was just going to say, I'm here partly because I feel like I'm still questioning the world around me, and sorry, I might get a little emotional. Like, what happened for me was I was really stressed and miserable and anxious all the time, and then one day, I had cancer, and it was just like, oh shit, why is this happening? What did I do to cause this? I had everyone telling me, you're too young, you're too this, it's not going to be that bad, it's not this other thing or whatever, and I kind of was like, why? And the Buddhism and the Dharma, it asks you to question, why these things are happening to you and why they are the way that they are, and it's not just some book you're handed and it's telling you this is how everything is and you just have to accept it. It's about questioning everything that happens and everything, and everyone that you meet. And so for me, that's what brings me back, because it's the energy of everyone is still questioning and like me starting to realize like I can be around the energy that I choose to be around, as opposed to just like going through the motions without thinking about it.
It's so funny because we have the pull as humans, and most creatures on the planet have the pull to go into routines because it's easy, right? Our brains are wired to do that. The patterns of our brains, the way the brain is shaped, is because it requires so much energy to process all the activity that's going on, all the circulation and the temperature changes and the digestion and the thinking and everything. It needs so much energy, and we don't have enough energy. The energy comes from us. So the brain is designed to create patterns of habit so we don't have to consciously think of things, and then we get stuck in those patterns, and they keep us stuck, and then we get in a rut. Yeah, and so there's one side of us that is safe to be in patterns and not thinking and not questioning. And then if you look at the creative drive, the child drive, the adventurous drive, like whatever made Columbus come over here to look for India, you know, that idea that there's something I don't know that keeps me searching and questioning the world, that upward spiral, if you like, that's hard to keep. And we're not wired for that. But we can, if we trick the mind to make that a habit. If we associate whatever goodness or righteousness or correctness to that pattern of searching, if you look at children, all they are doing is questioning everything. That vibrance, that thirst, that's healthy. Yeah? If we can keep that for the entirety of our lives, we are in that upward state of awareness. Yeah? And I love that about this path, because I'm 47 and I know less now with way more information than I had when I was 20. I knew everything at 20, you know? I was sure of it. And not knowing everything right now gives me infinite possibility. Knowing everything limits me to what I absolutely know for sure.
And,
you know?
Yeah, and for me, like I think about it, and like the sickness and what I went through, like it sucks. Like how like there's still shit that sucks that's gonna happen, but at the same time, like I'm also really grateful because it allowed me to question like what was like. I think it allows you to be like, okay, what's really important here, and like every day, like since, like I'm much more grateful. Like I'm grateful all the time for cancer because I wouldn't be like you're not it changed. Like I think like the path has like changed us all. Like you're not the same person who you were. Like that person I don't if I met her on the street today I wouldn't recognize.
Yeah. Unless she was wearing that dress, which thank you for that. That's beautiful. Yeah.
That just reminded me of something that you said in the last class, that like when we were talking about the realms and how like being a human, like okay, so being a human in this realm, it sucks because we suffer, but we suffer just enough to have the ability to be uncomfortable enough to pursue enlightenment.
Yeah, so we're not stuck in so much overwhelming suffering that we don't have time to form or shape a thought or an idea that gets us out of this space. Wow, this has turned into a really nice discussion, by the way, so I'm really grateful. This is why we study Dharma. Yeah, it's interesting because the first time that I got I'll tell you my first encounter with this stuff, okay? I was anti any religion, so I was already disliking whatever I was stepping into. And the way I see it is hooks, like meat hooks, being thrown from the stage and into my body and being stuck in. And I have several meat hooks. I know, it's weird. From Geshe Michael, who I didn't like at the beginning, my teacher, right? I have several meat hooks that I could not deny got me in. Okay, got me in meaning I got no option but to question more than I thought I had to question. And one of those meat hooks was, I think what you've just described of having to go through. He sat there and he said, in this room, there are those of us who know what we're going to die of, and those of you don't. Some people have some terrible disease. They've been told the name of the disease, and you have your days numbered. And the rest of us, you also have your days numbered, and you don't know it. The only difference is you don't know. And when I heard that, this fire came over me, and like, oh my God, I'm that person. I don't know. And so the first part of the Buddhist training was to scare me. I thought, well, you're going to die, some terrible thing's going to happen to you. And I'm like, that's Catholicism. I've done that. If I'd been Jewish, it would have been Judaism, right? But I've done that. But there's something profound about seeing your mortality for what it is, plain in the face, and saying, every millisecond is precious now. It says this is a blessing, this thing called life, this breath of mine, this relationship, this color, this thing is life, and it's precious. So the first teaching of the Buddha was, hey, life is suffering. Right? Oh, depressing, I want to go back to Catholicism. But it should, if it's correctly engaged with, give you a vibrance and an awareness and a preciousness of the fragility of life that should make you want to hug everything and touch everything and be everything. Yeah? So,
No, you finish first.
no, I was going to say, we haven't started the class, but I'm happy to answer questions and discuss.
I was just
more.
going to say why I came.
Yes, let's do that.
Well, when I was like 8 or 9 years old, can you even hear me? I can't even hear myself.
Yeah.
I realized that I was going to die eventually, and that my dad also was going to die eventually. And this was like thinking about it now. I'm still not okay with this. And anyway, so I realized this at 8 or 9 years old, and the fact that like my world was going to end, and the world as I knew it was not going to end, is something that I could not deal with. And then at one point my dad was like, it's okay, Sierra, you and I, we're not going to die. Which obviously he was lying to me. And at that time I accepted that to be that quieted me, and that made me feel safe, I'm not going to die, and me and my dad are going to be here, it's going to be fine. And then I got older and I realized I actually my mind, that part of the mind that keeps on thinking, realized I will die. And then the fact that I'm going to die and I have this life that is so precious and wonderful, and then I'm going to die, it just seems too horrible.
Yeah.
And so my mind as of late, I want to say the past year or so, has completely turned inside out. And instead of believing in this world, I don't even believe in this world. I don't feel like I'm here. I don't feel like you're here. I don't feel like this is here. I don't think there's a planet or a universe or anything. So I'm sitting here, why am I here? I probably want to believe in something.
Wow.
But I'm here and I don't.
Oh,
At all.
that's stunning. You've formulated, constructed an anti-universe to avoid the pain that things are changing and end. Yeah. So you've ended it beforehand, it doesn't exist. That's how you have to lose it. That's interesting. There's actually something really profound about the way you've described it. There's something really profound around the idea that this world isn't real like that. Yeah? And hopefully we'll get to touch on it today. There's a whole teaching that describes the psychological mistake we make in engaging with a world that seems solid and true and real, but isn't. And that mistake, for lack of a better word, that ignorance of not knowing how the world truly is what gets trumped or beat or overcome by wisdom in the language of Buddhism, which then pops that world into a true existence, and in that true existence of the world, the ultimate you, the you that Anna was describing, that never ends. It never started, it never ends. The temporal you, the thing that is produced like this, comes and goes and comes and goes, and it takes many forms and shapes, and the gross you, if you like, that moves and shape shifts, and it has every capacity to be everything. But at some deep undercurrent level, your mind, the state of the thing that produces this magnificent thing, never ends. It just never dies like that. So there's a whole teaching in that. Yeah, so it's very interesting that you should come to, through whatever you want to call it, whatever gave you that first impulse, you've gone and gone, no, this is not reality. So you don't have to die. It's amazing. Yeah, it's actually very auspicious and lovely. So thank you for sharing that. What's your name again?
Sierra.
Sierra. Don't forget, look this face. Yeah, no. Any other ones, please? Yeah. Hi. What's your name again?
Catalina.
Catalina, ¿cómo estás?
Bien.
Ay, habla español y todo, qué lindo.
So, when the first time the question came up, I was thinking not only why I'm here in this space, but maybe in New York City or in general, you know, in this world.
Nice.
It went on so many levels, and at the same time, it's all the same answer.
Huh?
I think if I were to think about this time and this space particularly, it has to do with surrender. Sorry.
No, that's beautiful. Go, continue, please.
Here's my Latino
Yeah, no, it's a good thing.
emotional thing. I recently moved to New York City, so from Puerto Rico. That's not where I'm from, but that's where I was living. And I felt like everything was so calculated. Oh, I'm moving here, I'll do this and that, and everything will just fall into place because I've always had a very strong connection with this city. It felt like every time I would come and visit, things would just magically happen. And I came here with that mentality. Oh, you know, I'm so connected with life, and there's something about the city in me that nothing can hurt me. And even if, you know, one day is bad, the next day is going to be wonderful. And while I was in Puerto Rico, I used to, the reason I moved there was I wanted to be by the ocean. I've always lived in huge cities, noisy, busy, no connection with nature. And I understand now by being here, even being here today, that there was a reason why I had to experience that. And there's no true coincidence. It's just a layer over a layer that helped me prepare myself even for just to say this. It feels like right now New York City is not New York City, and it's just the ocean. And I'm basically in the ocean for the first time again in a different way, where I have to take on any tool that I have, any surfboard that I can borrow, anything that I feel I need so that I can get and actually survive in the ocean. But each time it's just taking me somewhere else. It's not letting me stay in there. It's not letting me catch a wave. It's not letting me even take a breath. And I feel like today I actually woke up and just surrender to it. You know, don't fight it. Don't try and take a wave. Don't try and go out and do something. Just stop and just let go.
Be observant and be aware.
Yeah, it's been too much. Go and do, you know, go and find, go and look for a job, and look for an apartment, and look for this, and you know, if you do this list of 100 things, things will happen. And I keep crossing lists and sending emails and going through a routine of waking up, hustling, that word, hustling, and nothing's happening. And I was about to go to a Kundalini class because yoga is probably the only thing that helps me stay together. So I met this wonderful person at that Kundalini class a couple of days ago, and just randomly had a day where I was like, I'm going to surrender. I'm not going to have a ritual or a plan for today. And he said, I think you want to go to this class instead of your Kundalini class.
I said it's your destiny to come.
It's your destiny. You sound like what's his name from Star Wars? Good.
And in a way, it kind of felt like that because I've always been interested in Buddhism, and I even went to a Buddhist temple, but it was very different. And I remember reading something, because I come from a Catholic background too, but I've always looked for answers elsewhere. And I remember reading something from a book on Kabbalah that said, you only face the challenges you meet when you're ready for them. And I think maybe I wasn't ready for Buddhism until today.
Maybe you're ready for New York.
That's a whole lot.
No, that's a beautiful answer. Thank you everybody for the reality that you bring, because hopefully we're all listening to each other going, I'm not alone here. I'm not the only one in this state of being. We're all describing our thing, and we are the same. We are the same, yeah? And in hearing each other, there's hope. Because the pencil thing, each one of us alone, pretending that everything is okay, ticking off the list, all together. Yeah, I just made that connection with it. Before we go to a quick break, actually, because you were talking about the ocean, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do this later. I'm going to do it now. Some of you have seen this, but I want you to ponder this, and then we're going to talk about some Buddhist stuff, okay? Here we go.
There are these two young fish swimming along, and they happen to meet an older fish swimming the other way. He nods at them and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And the two young fish swim on for a bit, and then eventually one of them looks over at the other and goes, "What the hell is water?" The point of the fish story is learning that the most obvious and important realities are often the ones that are hardest to see and talk about. Stated as an English sentence, of course, this is just a banal platitude. But the fact is that in the day-to-day occurrences of adult existence, banal platitudes can have a life-or-death importance. The plain fact is that you graduating seniors do not yet have any clue what day in, day out really means. There happen to be whole, large parts of adult American life that nobody talks about in commencement speeches. One such part involves boredom, routine, and petty frustration. The parents and older folks here will know all too well what I'm talking about. By way of example, let's say it's an average adult day. You get up in the morning, go to your challenging white-collar college graduate job, and you work hard for 8 or 10 hours, and at the end of the day you're tired and somewhat stressed, and all you want is to go home and have a good supper and maybe unwind for an hour and then hit the sack early, because of course that's do it all again. I don't remember there's no food at home. You haven't had time to shop this week because of your challenging job. And so now after work you have to get in your car and drive to the supermarket. It's the end of the workday and the traffic is apt to be very bad. So getting to the store takes way longer than it should. And when you finally get there, the supermarket is very crowded. Because of course it's the time of day when all the other people's jobs also try to squeeze in some groceries. line is incredibly long, which is stupid and infuriating, but you can't take your frustration out on a frantic lady working the register, who is overworked at a job whose daily tedium and meaninglessness surpasses the imagination of any of us here at a prestigious college. But anyway, you finally get to the checkout line's front, you pay for your food, and get told to have a nice day in a voice that is the absolute voice of death. And then you have to take your creepy, greasy plastic bags of groceries in your cart for the one crazy wheel that goes madly to the left, all the way out to the crowded, bumpy, glittery parking lot, and then you have to drive all the way home through slow, heavy, SUV-intensive rush hour traffic, etc., etc. Everyone here has done this, of course, but it hasn't yet been part of the graduate's actual life routine, day after week, after month, after year. But it will be. And many more dreary, annoying, seemingly meaningless routines besides. But that is not the point. The point is that petty, frustrating crap like this is exactly where the work of choosing is going to come in. Because the traffic jams and crowded aisles and long checkout lines give me time to think. And if I don't make a conscious decision about how to think and what to pay attention to, I'm going to be pissed and miserable every time I have to shop. Because my natural default setting is the certainty that situations like this are going to be all about me, about my hungriness and my fatigue and my desire to just get home. And it's going to seem for all the world like everybody else is just in my way. And who are all these people in my way? And look at how repulsive most of them are, and how stupid and cow-like and dead-eyed and non-feeling in the checkout line, or how annoying and rude it is that people are talking loudly on cell phones in the middle of the line. And look at how deeply, personally unfair this is. If I choose to think this way in a store and on the freeway, fine. Lots of us do. Except thinking this way tends to be so easy and automatic that it doesn't have to be a choice. It is my natural default setting. It's the automatic way that I experience the blurry, frustrating, crowded parts of adult life when I'm operating on the automatic, unconscious belief that I am the center of the world and that my immediate needs and feelings are what should determine the world's priorities. The thing is that, of course, there are totally different ways to think about these kinds of situations. In this traffic, all these vehicles stop and idling in my way. It's not impossible that some of these people in SUVs have been in horrible auto accidents in the past, and now find driving so terrifying that their therapist is all but ordering them to get a huge, heavy SUV so they can feel safe enough to drive. Or I can choose to force myself to consider the likelihood that everyone else in the supermarket's checkout line is just as bored and frustrated as I am, and that some of these people probably have much harder, more tedious, or painful lives than I do. Again, please don't think I'm giving you moral advice, because I'm saying you're supposed to think this way, or that anyone expects you to just automatically do it, because it's hard. It takes will and effort, and if you're like me, some days you won't be able to do it, but you just flat out don't want to. But most days, if you're aware enough to give yourself a choice, you can choose to look differently at this fat, dead-eyed, over-made-up lady who just screamed at her kid in the checkout line. Maybe she's not usually like this. Maybe she's been up 3 straight nights holding the hand of her husband who's dying of bone cancer. Or maybe this very lady is the low-wage clerk at the motor vehicles department who just yesterday helped her spouse resolve a horrific, infuriating red tape problem through some small act of bureaucratic kindness. Of course, none of this is likely, but it's also not impossible. It just depends what you want to consider. If you're automatically sure that you know what reality is, including what is really important, if you want to operate in your default setting, then you, like me, probably won't consider possibilities that are annoying and miserable. But if you really learn how to think, how to pay attention, then you will know you have other options. It will actually be within your power to experience a crowded, hot, slow, consumer hell-type situation as not only meaningful, but sacred, on the fire of the same force that gives us lives. Love, fellowship, the mystical oneness of all things that we know. Not that that mystical stuff's necessarily true. The only thing that's capital T true is that you get to decide how you're going to try to see it. This, I submit, is the freedom of real education, of learning how to be well-adjusted, You get to consciously decide what has meaning and what doesn't. That is real freedom. That is being educated and understanding how to think. The alternative is unconsciousness, the default setting, the rat race, the constant gnawing sense of having had and lost some infinite thing. I know that this stuff probably doesn't sound fun and breezy or grandly inspirational the way a commencement speech is supposed to sound. What it is, as far as I can see, is the capital T truth with a whole lot of rhetorical niceties stripped away. You are, of course, free to think of it whatever you wish. But please don't just dismiss it as some finger-wagging Dr. Lowell sermon. None of this stuff is really about morality, or religion, or dogma, or big fancy questions of life after death. The capital T truth is about life before death. It is about the real value of a real education, which has almost nothing to do with knowledge and everything to do with simple awareness. Awareness of what is so real and essential, so hidden in plain sight all around us all the time, that we have to keep reminding ourselves over and over, this is water. This is water.
That's positive. Yeah.
You know he killed himself, right?
Yes, I know. It doesn't mean that it's not true, though. Yeah, he did.
He did?
Yeah. So
Thanks, Nick.
That's from my hometown. I'm super proud.
but
that's part of the water.
Part of the water.
yeah, I want you to connect to that and think about it. Yeah, he did kill himself, right? Duh, he missed his own point.
Was it before or after that speech?
He killed himself before the speech. Yeah. This is him talking beyond the grave. No, think about that, because after that, I'm proposing that the real education is the education of your own experience of the world. The capital T truth is what you're able to do with that awareness and that education. It's not an education of books out there, but of your experience of reality through your senses, and then deeper still, understanding the subtleties of your mind as it engages with that reality. That's the capital T truth that we're going to hopefully get to talk about from the Buddhist point of view, about life in general. Let's have a 10-minute break. We'll be back at 9 o'clock, and I'm really grateful for the beautiful conversation. There should be some food and drink out there. If not, make it. Yeah. Thank you. See you in 10 minutes. Hi.